Alright, welcome guys to another episode of my RNG series. I'm so sorry that I couldn't post for a while. I am so fucking stressed with school, so I barely can do much. So again, I am so sorry, but I will upload more during Christmas or like during December. So first of all, tonight or today we're gonna do our inventory scripting. Well, most of it I would say. So first we're gonna actually do the script for opening the UI. So we're gonna go into Start UI and the side buttons, and inside our side buttons we're gonna add a new script and call this the opening, or like opening UI, like this. So let's get started. First we are gonna require our replicated storage, which is gonna be game get service replicated storage. And then we are also needing the players and the tween service for smooth animations, like this. Now we can go for the open time, so how long it will take for the GUI to open. I recommend about 0.75 seconds. Yeah, sure, about 0.575 seconds, or you could also just 1 second in general. Usually works best. Next, we are getting our open info, which is gonna be a tween info, and we can put in our open time with a easing style, enum.easing style. I like to use exponential, but it's really your choice, you can decide. And we can do the easing direction to out. It doesn't have to be out, but I just like out in general. Next up, we actually need the screen GUI, which is just gonna be script.parent. And we need the actual holder of our buttons, which is gonna be the screen GUI.holder. Or sorry, we can do wait for child holder. Yeah, that works. Next, we need two variables for the currently opened GUI. That is gonna be nil for now, and the previous GUI, which is also going to be nil. Next up, we need a quick GUI debounce to basically cancel it out from just spamming the GUI. And that is about it, I would say. Yeah, that is about it. Alright. First, we can do a function, so a local function that is going to be open UI or open GUI, doesn't matter. And we can do UI name, that is going to be a string, and effect. And actually, no, the opening effect we are going to do later on. Or sorry, not the opening effect, but I will show you guys in a later episode. I have tons of stuff planned. So for every single index in our UI, in pairs, we're gonna get the screen GUI, get children, do if our UI is in fact a frame, so not a file, a frame, like this. Then we can also check if our UI.name is equal to _.UI name, like so. Why are we doing this exactly? Well, it checks through our screen GUI for every children, so those 4 things. Then it checks through every frame, so those 2, and it checks if it starts with a underscore and our UI name, so our inventory that we're gonna open. So now we can do the if GUI debounce is equal to true, then return end. And next up, GUI debounce is equal to true, right? And again, GUI debounce is set back to false, so it actually cancels out again. And while we're at it, we can do task.wait and the open time. Yeah, the open time. So you cannot spam this button until the opening time is actually done. So first we're gonna do opened GUI, so the current UI that is actually opened. And that is gonna be a if previous GUI is equal to the open GUI. So if they're the same, then we can basically say that they're just gonna toggle off and they're gonna disappear. Right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a tween service, create our open GUI. We wanna tween that one to the open info, which we've made, sorry, not the open time, the open info, like this. And now we're gonna tween the position. Right. The position is always a udim2.fromScale, usually just udim2.new, but we are gonna use from scale because we are using scaling and not offset. I've explained that in an earlier episode where we made the GUI, so if you still remember what that was, I guess that's good. So, basically they're gonna stay in the middle, the UI, but it's gonna go up to 1.5, like this. Then we can clone this tween service and change the open GUI to the previous GUI, like so. Next up, we can say that the opened GUI is set back to nil, like so, and the previous GUI is also set to nil. And if not, the previous GUI is equal to the open GUI, then we're just gonna open up the current UI that has been selected. So we are gonna do open GUI dot position. It's gonna be a udim2.fromScale 0.5 and 1.5, so it's off screen. And then we can also say open GUI dot visible. No, that is completely spelled wrong. Visible, like this, is equal to true. Next up, we are actually gonna tween it in, so we're gonna do the open GUI. Actually, we can just copy this and paste it down here and just get rid of that one. Perfect. And now we're just gonna do if the previous GUI is not equal to nil, like so. Then we can paste this in one more time and change this to the previous GUI and make sure it's 1.5 right here. If you've made that correctly, we should be able to do another, actually, let me check something real quick. No, we're not needing that. Alright, so task.wait, right after this, we can also say previous GUI is equal to the opened GUI, like so. And if I'm not wrong, we should be able to test this out. Check if the UI opens. It doesn't. Alright, we've made... it's incorrect somewhere. Let me just disable Atmos real quick, because it always prints out a huge message. So back in here, what did I do wrong? Alright, sorry, my bad. We just made a function to open a GUI, right? But we're never calling it. That is my bad. So right at the bottom, we're gonna do a for loop. So for every single button in our holder, we are gonna basically say if our button is a GUI button, then we can say button.activated, and we're gonna connect this to a function, and we basically say if not a if, because yep, we are just gonna do open GUI like this, and our button.name. Right, that's everything. And I think we can open up our inventory now. Perfect. As you can see, it goes off screen and it comes back like this. And you can also not spam it. Now, to test something real quick, we can go up here where we have the open info. We can say in out if you like that more, like that. In-out is basically just, oh, that's the roll button, my bad. In-out is basically a smoother thing where it slows down at the start and it slows back down at the end, as you can see. Now, I personally don't prefer that on exponential, but we can actually say open time to 0.5 maybe and change this to circular. Maybe that looks better. A bit too fast, and I don't really like circular for a UI, so maybe we can do a quad and increase it back to 0.75. Let's see. Better, but it should slow down a bit at the end. So in my opinion, we're just gonna do a sine, and that should be everything. Perfect. I like this. You can change it if you want, but I'm gonna keep sine. Maybe, actually, while we're at it, I'm gonna try a quint real quick, or a quart after this, because quint and quarts are also pretty good. Let's do quart real quick. And if that doesn't look good, then I'm just gonna keep out instead of in-out. That looks good in my opinion. So if you like this, you can keep the setting I just made here, a quart, in-out and 0.75, but it's just your opinion in general. So to test something out, we're just quickly gonna clone this .inventory or underscore inventory, and we're gonna quickly name this to test, like this. So underscore test, my bad. And if we were to make this visible, we can just quickly remove the options and the showcaser, like to test it out, doesn't really matter. You can remove everything, doesn't matter. Gonna keep it like this. And we can add a quick test button in our holder, like this. And we are just gonna quickly change the image to, like, I don't know, this box. Doesn't matter what you put there because it's a test button. As you can see, it opens and closes, and if we were to click our backpack, you can see the inventory switches, and you will never stack inventories. And you can open and close them however you'd like. Like that. That works perfectly, and now we can remove our test thing again. So now that we've made the opening for our inventory, we're actually hopping over to making the leader stats for the inventory work. So what we're gonna do is inside our setup leader stats folder, we are gonna add a new instance, which we're gonna call local inventory, say instance.new, and we're gonna do a folder. Wait, let me just check my auto script real quick if that's matching, and that is correct, right? Now we can do inventory.parent, and we're gonna parent it to our player. So player, like this. And inventory.name is gonna be inventory, but with a large I, or a capital I, like this. Right, that's our inventory. But we actually need two more things inside our inventory. So we are gonna do basically our max inventory, which we're gonna use later, and our owned auras, which is basically gonna be every single aura that we currently have in our inventory. So we're gonna do local max inventory. That is gonna be a instance.new number value, and max inventory is gonna be parented to our inventory that we just made, and max inventory dot name is gonna be max inventory. And for the sake of it, max inventory dot value, you can set this to whatever you'd like. I'm saying we start off with a basic like 10 inventory, so you can 10 auras in your inventory. And then we are gonna do owned aura or owned auras. That is gonna be another instance.new folder. and we're gonna parent this owned auras folder to our inventory. Now owned auras.name is gonna be owned auras, like so. Perfect. Now if we were to hit play, and if we were to go inside our player, check, we have a inventory folder, a owned auras folder, and a max inventory with the value of 10. Perfect. Now all we gotta do is actually make it so it saves. Now the saving part is a bit difficult, but it should not be a problem. So inside our return value, if success return value right here, we are gonna do inventory is equal to a table, and inside this table we are just gonna do max inventory like this and make that 10, which is basically gonna be our starting value. You can set this to 0 or whatever you like, but we're gonna start off with 10 max inventory every time. Right. Next up, we are gonna do the owned auras. Make sure it's capitalized or the same name up here. And this is gonna be a table, a empty table. So now down here, this is gonna be the tricky part for the inventory, at least. The max inventory is basically gonna be the same, so you can copy this, like this entire line, paste it down here, go to player.inventory, like this. Our player.inventory.max inventory dot value is gonna be the return value dot inventory dot max inventory, like this. And then you can copy this and paste it in here. Nice. And replace this else 0 with else 10. And that should be everything. Right. Now for actually saving our auras that we are getting, we are gonna do if return value dot inventory dot owned auras, if that is not nil, like this, then we are gonna loop through every single thing in pairs inside our return value dot inventory dot owned auras, like this. And then we're gonna do a new instance like this, which we're gonna do a number value, so we can also count directly how many we have of them. And that is gonna be a new instance dot parent. It's gonna be player dot inventory dot owned auras. Now the new instance dot name is gonna be I, and new instance dot value is gonna be v. So that should be the saving for the loading for our inventory. And now we just have to do the saving. So the saving is basically the same. Inside our data table, we are gonna have inventory, which is gonna be a table. And inside our inventory, we're gonna do max inventory. That's gonna be max inventory. This is capitalized and this is not capitalized. Make sure that it's like that. And then we're also gonna do owned auras. That is gonna be owned auras. Sorry, we can do owned auras table. Exactly. So now we can actually start by getting everything. So we can do local. We're gonna do the max inventory, or the max inventory first, which is gonna be player.inventory.max inventory.value. And for our owned auras table, it's gonna be a bit trickier, but it's gonna be fine. Owned auras table, like so, it's gonna be a empty table to start off, and we're basically looping for every single aura or like every single number value inside our player, like we just did before. So player.inventory.owned auras, we are gonna get the children this time. And then we can do owned auras table, we're gonna index v.name, and then we are gonna do v.value as well. Yeah, perfect. So what this basically does is it sets the it puts inside our auras owned auras table the name of the number value and the number value value as well. So like the value that would be right here on the properties. Exactly. So next up, that should be actually everything. That is gonna be for loading and saving the inventory. And why is that happening? Index nil with max inventory, did I spell it wrong or is it just not correct? Right, so I think I found the issue. We had player here, but it should be PLR because we had it everywhere else. Make sure this is PLR and not player. And I think it should work now. The max inventory should have saved. Yes, it did. And if we were to save anything inside our owned auras now, we're just gonna do another number value like this. We're gonna call it basic, like this. And if we were to go back to the client, you can see it's inside here, and then we can leave the game like this. As you can see, there is a print right here. You can ignore that, I was just testing it out. But as you can see, it should have saved our data. And I can actually remove this print because I don't need this anymore. You guys don't have to do that, I just made it for myself. And if we were to go back in the game, you can see that our owned auras actually saved now, and our max inventory also saved. Perfect. Nice. Now, while we're at it, I was actually gonna do both of them only in this episode, but because we're at it, we can actually start by loading our inventory in. We're not gonna do anything special. We're just gonna do the loading of our inventory. So, firstly, add a new local script inside, name this inventory handler, and then we can grab our replicated storage, like always. And now we have to grab our modules, which is gonna be replicated storage, wait for child modules, and then we're gonna require our aura list. So modules, wait for child, aura list. Perfect. I think that's gonna be everything for now. So we can start by, actually, we can grab our players because we are gonna need that. Players. And then we're also gonna do local player is gonna be players.localPlayer. Perfect. Now we have everything set up. We can start by loading everything in. I think, yep. Firstly, go to our inventory inside our holder and scrolling frame. We are gonna grab this template and put it inside our inventory handler. We are quickly gonna define this as a, let's do temp label. That's gonna be script wait for child temp. Next up, we're gonna do local inventory holder. That's gonna be our script.parent wait for child holder and wait for child again for the scrolling frame. Perfect. Now we can load our data in. So for every single thing, actually no, we are gonna do a quick remote inside our replicated storage. We are gonna add a folder again, name this inventory, and make a remote event. We are gonna name this to switched inventory, or sorry, switched UI. Yeah, but then we can drag this into the remotes folder, so we don't need the inventory folder. My bad. Also, maybe capitalize this while we add it, like this. And if we were to go back into our opening GUI script that we've made today, we are gonna go a bit down to the... Actually, first let's grab our remotes folder, because we still haven't done that. Remotes, gonna be replicated storage, wait for child, remotes. Now we can go into our open GUI function, and we can do, let me check. Right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go below this if right here. We're gonna add another if. So if the open GUI is not nil, then we're gonna do remotes, wait for child, switched UI, and we're gonna, this is actually not gonna be a remote event, that's my bad. That has to be a bindable event. And this event we're gonna call switched UI. So again, colon and do fire. So now that we fired it, we're just gonna do OpenGUI.name. Now, else if the OpenGUI is something, if it's nil, then we're gonna do remotes, wait for child, switched UI, and fire with nil. Or actually, we have to do it like this, otherwise it won't work. So that's perfect. We are going back to our inventory handler. Go to, we actually haven't defined remotes. Say local remotes, replicated storage, wait for child, remotes, and then remotes, wait for child, switched UI dot event. Connect this to a function, and now that is gonna be our loading in the data. So basically, first we're gonna hit print and then the UI name, like this, UI name, and we can do string. So we are gonna print out our UI name for now. Basically, if you hit the inventory button, it should print out inventory, exactly, and if we switch it off, it's nil. That's everything. So now we are going back into our inventory handler, and we are just gonna do a quick if. So if UI name is equal to underscore inventory, then we can do the following. So for everything inside our player, wait for child, inventory. Actually, we don't have to do wait for child because the player isn't gonna instantly, in the first few seconds of the game, it isn't going to click the inventory button. So we're gonna just do in pairs player dot inventory dot owned auras, and we're gonna get the children. So right now we can do print I, v, just to check if everything works. If we were to open this, it should only print out 1 and basic. Perfect. So we can do local aura info. That's gonna be aura list. Wait, let me check the aura list real quick. Okay, we have to do it like this. So sorry, we can do just aura info for now. We're not gonna set it to anything, so we can do is equal to nil. Then we're gonna loop through every single thing inside our aura list, like this, and we can say if a, so if our aura right here, index it with 1, is equal, so it's if it's the same as v, then we can say that aura info, or we can actually rename this to aura table. So if our aura table, and we can do aura table is gonna be just a. Alright, and now if we were to print out our aura table, you can see the entire info of that set table. Why is it nil? Why is it nil? Maybe it hasn't found anything. Let me check. No, that does work. Is it maybe print a... Did it switch languages again? Yes, it did. If that and that, let me just check. Basic, why is it not working then? Also, we are gonna set the aura table. We are gonna set the aura table to a empty table, because that's important, and not nil. That was my bad. And maybe we can also do a toString v, so maybe that works better. Let's see. Yep, that works a ton better. So as you can see, now it actually prints out the thing that it should have printed out before. And that's everything you do. So now that we found the info of our basic, we can do a local new temp. It's gonna be our temp label, and clone that. New temp.parent is gonna be set to our inventory holder, and new temp.name is gonna be aura table and 1. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna customize our template. Inside our template, we just have the aura name with the test name, text color, and everything. So new temp.text is gonna be aura table 1. New temp.text color 3. That is gonna be index 3, so aura table and index 3. And if I'm not wrong, that should actually be everything. So if we were to hit play, if we go inside our inventory, you can see there's a test name and it hasn't updated. Why hasn't it updated? Let's see if it actually has been named correctly. Okay, so it has been named correctly and the text has been set, but it has been set on the text button and not the text label inside the text button. That was on my end. We don't do new temp.text, we do new temp dot aura name, and same here, dot aura name. Perfect. Now what we're quickly gonna do, so we're gonna hit play again and check our inventory. As you can see, we have our basic and that works. If we were to switch over to the server, I'm just quickly gonna add everything to my own auras folder that is inside my aura list to check if everything has worked correctly. Like this. That is everything. If I switch back over to the client, I just gotta reopen this, and as you can see, it works. Now the only thing that doesn't work is if I close this and open this again, it duplicates. Right. We can do this a couple of times, and as you can see, it just increases. So that doesn't work clearly. But that's a simple fix. We are gonna go back into our inventory handler, and right here where gets the UI name is equal to the underscore inventory, we can do for every single thing in pairs, and we are gonna do inventory holder get children, and we are just gonna say if v is a GUI button, then we destroy. Simple as that. So if I were to open this up, you can see I have my auras, close it, open it back up, and it just stays. Perfect. This info right here we're gonna do next episode, including everything else. Well, I mean including everything else as in this label right here, the actual saving, like when you roll it, we're gonna also add 2 buttons right here. Like we're gonna script the 2 buttons because we've already made them. But we're gonna do that in future episode. And the search bar is also gonna be added in a future episode. Right, one thing I'm gonna do as a finisher of this episode, we are just gonna quickly go in here, say new temp dot layout order, and we are gonna set it to let's do string dot I think it was format, yeah. So string dot format, we're gonna do a minus and a %d like this. Add a comma, and we are just gonna do aura table index 2. And if I'm not wrong, it should say that the new layout order is gonna be negative and whatever rarity it is. So let's hit play, open the inventory, and if nothing goes wrong, it should be the rarest in the front. You can test it out yourself, but it should work correctly. Now, as you can maybe see, the buttons right now look a bit ugly, but we're gonna fix that in a future episode, so be on the lookout for that. But right now, it is fine, and that is actually gonna be the end of this episode. Next episode, we're gonna do the second part of the inventory, so all of that info, the search bar, and this thing, as well as scrapping our equip and decline buttons. Nice. Now, thank you for watching. I am so sorry again that I haven't posted in a while, and just be on the lookout for future episodes coming near Christmas or in about 1 or 2 weeks. So, thank you again for watching this episode, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.